I wanted to talk about the priest initiations. Were
Hmm.
you ever involved in one of those?
No, I mean, there's only one that I believe happened, and I was in the room for
Oh, okay. So how
it.
can we talk about
Yeah,
it?
totally, of course.
The priest initiation, what they showed were lots of uh, like a rattle going around like a naked woman, and then a snake comes out, and I was like, oh hell no! Like I am not in the room for that for that giant snake to be wrapped around me. The women are naked except for a black mask, and it's basically like, and this is just from what I gathered on the documentary, so I want to hear what actually happened. But it just seemed like a giant orgy where women are just coming and then get the snakes, and they described it as a sexy Illuminati type of initiation. So, what was it actually like?
Yeah. Well, those, I mean, I think you're referring to two different events. There was the Stinson Beach demo,
Okay.
and then the priest initiation. I think they're like 10 years apart.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of it was a newish event called Magic School. And that was the first time it was done. So uh, One Taste was kind of going a normal corporate direction. This is like 2014. They had a partnership with CrossFit. They taught all the CrossFit HQ how to ohm. No, that's often lost, but that was a thing that happened. They had all these endorsements. They were going in a very normal route. And then I think because of that, Nicole, I mean, she actually said this to me in one of our few direct personal conversations, was that now that she achieved this amount, she could do what she could expose like what she's really into, which is like occult stuff. So Magic School is kind of like the coming out event for this. In the maybe 6 months prior, uh, like more religious terminology was being used, like more magic. At first, like in a tongue-in-cheek way, and then it slowly became kind of real, um, or like used seriously, I should say. And Magic School was like a bunch of different rituals. One of them was this priest thing. So I mean, I have to give a little bit more context for this too about the priest initiation. So at this point in 2014, One Taste had been running their coaching program for a while. So like that was like the last step in terms of monetary, like money that you could give. I think that year they created the Nicole Daedone Intensive, which was $20,000 and eventually $40,000 for a 2 week intensive. And this is my interpretation, but I believe this to be true. Like they're looking for what's the next big thing. Like how could we charge people $100,000? And one of their moves was to sell the individual branches, because there were developed branches in San Francisco, Los Angeles, London, New York, and they would sell these branches as like they were called affiliates, but kind of like a franchise to certain wealthy members of the community for close to seven figures or more than seven-figure amounts.
Wow.
And they did this with the major cities: San Francisco, Los Angeles, London, and New York. The men who bought in, and I don't know how much each guy gave, but it was maybe $250,000 each, because there was maybe each city was split amongst five people, men and women. But the men were kind of literally exalted as priests, because as kind of like a social reward for having committed their lives in a way that one of the functions was to maybe make all the other men jealous that they didn't commit themselves so deeply. Like they literally had a status as priest. And at this time, I was pretty well known in the world One Taste community. And a lot of people came up to me after the ritual and like, oh, how come you weren't one of the priests? And if I'm honest, I was like, yeah, how come I wasn't one of the priests? Like I did feel that kind of like, FOMO essentially. And they used FOMO, and they literally talked about how using FOMO to get people to do things. And this is one of the more extreme versions.
So describe for us then what it was like being there for this type of event that just seems like a big old orgy.
Well, it wasn't an orgy. It was there were seven women. It was Nicole and like the top ranking women in One Taste. They were naked. I mean, I realize I'm saying this like as if it's normal, but it's obviously not.
So
Yeah.
casual.
I mean, just to me, this was not nearly this wasn't close to the weirdest thing, at least at the time. They had black veils as described in the documentary. Although I think any footage that they used was
Reenactment.
recreated. I don't think there weren't any cameras there, as far as I know. The women were on 7 massage tables, just like an Ohm demo, uh, pussies facing outward, which is how they would say it. And then the men wanted it like they would rotate every few minutes, like who they were stroking. And at some point, I believe Nicole gave them like a necklace that had a moon on it. I believe that's what it was, a necklace with a moon, and that signified that they were a priest of orgasm.
A priest of orgasm. So what if they're a priest, what does that make her? Do you feel like anyone worshipped her in a religious type of way?
Totally. It was never directly said, but you know, and this ties to the desire thing that you asked about earlier. It's like you go in and you're learning to live by desire, but then they kind of morph your desire to be what One Taste wants and who is the biggest authority on sensing your desire, but Nicole. So in that way, she is kind of like a deity figure. No one explicitly said that, but that was essentially what it was.
Interesting.
There's another course a year before Magic School where Nicole was the demo model. Usually she was the one stroking, but for this, it was called Mastery. She was the model and she was stroked by someone else. And they played all of this angelic music and she was dressed kind of like an angel. And all of those theatrics certainly were to spiritualize her and One Taste.
Okay. You said that the priest initiation was not the weirdest thing you saw. What was the weirdest thing that you saw?
Uh, hmm. My sense of weird is maybe different than most people now. Uh, in the mastery course that I mentioned, which was a 6-month program, we did all sorts of exercises with each other that was unusual. Like aside, I mean, because the idea behind mastery was that you're learning how to bring Om principles into other kinds of sexual acts. So that was my intro to BDSM. That was like, all sorts. I mean, I'm not going to list them all, but like all sorts of like it, the menu of kinks that you could think of. Like we tried them there live, and that was, I don't know. There's also a lot of spiritual things that were weird. It's kind of hard to answer that question succinctly.
No, that's okay. So then did you find yourself just dating within the group of Omers, or were you trying to date outside? And if you were dating outside of the group, how did you kind of go about your sex life, or did you explain any of this like I'm a master stroker or anything?
It was a little. I mean, it was a bit of a mix of both. Like if you're in the Om community and you're, of course, people are hooking up. Like that's like a normal thing. A lot of polyamory was the norm. Like especially early on when I was inside, anybody who was monogamous was seen as like kind of this strange backwards person. Like what? Like you only have one partner. Like not explicitly. Like no one was explicitly shamed, but it was seen as like a strange thing if you were monogamous. Funnily enough, by the time I left, so many people were polyamorous that the edgy thing was to be monogamous. Like that was like the crazy thing if you were monogamous. That was when I was leaving. Initially, of course, that's, I was just spending all my time in the Om community. But as you were shifting to, a quote party thrower, it was kind of expected that you brought people in too.